Good evening, my precious pandas, and welcome to episode 9 of the Sleeping with Heather podcast, the podcast that puts you to sleep. I'm your host, Heather, and I'm so grateful you could tune in tonight, where I'll be reading to you from a selection of beautiful poetry. But first, I'd like to take a moment to show love to my executive producers, Tim Mullen, Thomas Holgerson, and Steph Mates. That each of you chose to fund this show from the generosity of your hearts means the world to me. Really, it does. You've transformed this hobby of mine into an actual gig, and I can't thank you enough. If you'd like to become an executive producer and hear your name right at the top of the show, log on and subscribe to my Patreon page. You likely won't be charged. I've suspended payments indefinitely for now. I just like reading names and giving gratitude. Speaking of gratitude, Thanksgiving is in 2 days, from when I'm recording this at least. And I just finished watching Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, the classic comedy film directed by John Hughes and released in 1987. The movie is known for its humorous take on the challenges of traveling and unlikely friendship that develops between two very different characters. First, you have Neil Page, played by Steve Martin. Neil is a high-strung, uptight marketing executive who is desperately trying to get home to Chicago in time for Thanksgiving to spend the holiday with his family. He is frustrated, impatient, and just wants to get to his destination as quickly as possible. Then there's Del Griffith, played by the beloved John Candy. Del is a lovable but somewhat annoying travel salesman who is also trying to get home for Thanksgiving. He's friendly, talkative, and a bit of a bumbling, well-meaning goofball. The movie's plot kicks off when Neil and Del cross paths at the airport and end up on the same flight to Chicago. From there, they experience a series of travel mishaps, including flight delays, missed connections, and lost luggage. As they struggle to make their way home, they are forced to rely on various modes of transportation, including planes, trains, and automobiles, hence the title of the movie. Throughout their journey, Neil and Del clash repeatedly due to their contrasting personalities and the many obstacles they encounter. However, as the challenges mount, they also begin to develop a reluctant friendship. And it's a delightful watch, and I highly recommend it. You know what? There aren't enough movies about Thanksgiving. None that I can think of off the top of my head. Shame on Hallmark for neglecting an underserved niche. You know what? What if I were to write a Thanksgiving movie in the style of a Hallmark Christmas movie? I would call it Thanksgiving Wishes and Pumpkin Pies. You know, something saccharine. And it would go a little something like this. I'm going to try not to laugh through the whole thing, but bear with me. In the charming town of Maplewood Falls, where every Thanksgiving is a picture-perfect celebration of gratitude, Two strangers find themselves facing unexpected detours on their way to a peaceful holiday. Meet Emily, a talented pastry chef from the bustling city who is known for her extravagant desserts, but has lost touch with the true meaning of Thanksgiving. Her busy work life leaves no room for family gatherings or heartfelt traditions. And then there's Daniel, a widowed high school teacher who has been avoiding Thanksgiving since the loss of his beloved wife, unable to face the holiday's memories of togetherness. Their paths collide when Emily's car breaks down on the outskirts of Maplewood Falls, and kind-hearted Daniel comes to her rescue. Stranded together in the cozy town, they both find themselves reluctantly embracing the warmth of Maplewood Falls Thanksgiving traditions. As Emily and Daniel navigate a series of amusing holiday mishaps, from attempting to make the perfect pumpkin pie to helping decorate the town square with whimsical townfolk, they discover that Thanksgiving is more than just turkey and cranberry sauce. Sorry, hold on. It's about finding love, community, and a renewed appreciation for life's blessings. With the support of the charming Maplewood Falls residents and a sprinkle of holiday magic. I can't. This is really good. I'm sorry. Emily and Daniel may just find themselves falling in love amidst the falling autumn leaves, creating their own sweet Thanksgiving memories, and realizing that home is where the heart is. Thanksgiving Wishes and Pumpkin Pies is a heartwarming tale of two souls finding love and healing in a small town's festive embrace, reminding us all that Thanksgiving is the perfect time to count our blessings and open our hearts to new beginnings. Sounds like a banger to me. Speaking of Thanksgiving, did you know that 90 Wampanoag Native Americans and 50 Plymouth colonialists celebrated the first ever autumn harvest in 1621? While the celebration lasted 3 days, only 5 women were present. Thanksgiving is the second favorite holiday among American adults, behind Christmas and ahead of Halloween. Halloween is my personal favorite, I might add. It takes an average of 9.6 hours for a host to prepare a full Thanksgiving meal. And how much time do you suppose is spent eating the meal? 16 minutes. There are 3 towns in the United States named Turkey. They can be found in Texas, Louisiana, and my beloved North Carolina. Around 50 million pumpkin pies are consumed every Thanksgiving. 36% of people eat pumpkin pies for dessert on Thanksgiving, even though opinion polls show that America's favorite pie is apple. The first professional football games on Thanksgiving were played November 25th, 1920. That's over 100 years ago now. Kind of funny when you think about the tenacity of tradition. The President of the United States receives 2 live turkeys as a gift in a celebration held in the White House right before Thanksgiving. He then pardons them so they can live on a farm. Usually, the pardoned turkeys spend the remaining days living in comfort. And as a vegetarian, this is probably my favorite tradition. What's that? Oh, don't feel too sorry for me. I remember turkey, and it's great and all, but my favorite Thanksgiving dish is stuffing. My grandma used to make it with apples. If by chance you are a consumer of turkey, you can rely on the turkey talk line through which turkey experts from Butterball will answer you. The company receives about 100,000 turkey-related calls in November and December alone. You can also connect with them on social media, live chat, or by texting. The Butterball Turkey Talk hotline, 1-800-BUTTERBALL, was established in 1981 when 6 home economists answered about 11,000 questions about how to cook a turkey between Thanksgiving and Christmas. I imagine the hotline was hopping pre-internet. Can you imagine being a turkey expert on call? Although some people think eating turkey makes them sleepy after Thanksgiving dinner, the truth is the turkeys only have small contents of amino acids, tryptophan, which can barely make someone drowsy. On the other hand, eating a lot of carbohydrates, such as potatoes, or alternatively, listening to Sleeping with Heather, is more likely to make you sleepy. I think that's enough turkey talk for now. How about some poetry? Tonight, I would like to start with 2 by Charles Simic. The first is The Partial Explanation. Seems like a long time since the waiter took my order. Grimy little luncheonette. The snow falling outside. It seems it has grown darker since I last heard the kitchen door behind my back. Since I last noticed anyone pass on the street. A glass of ice water keeps me company at this table I chose myself upon entering. And a longing, incredible longing to eavesdrop on the conversation of cooks. Again, that was The Partial Explanation by Charles Simic from Selected Poems, 1967 to 1983. Copyright George Braziller, 1990. This next one is Rural Delivery. I never thought we'd end up living this far north, love. Cold blue heaven over our heads. Quarter moon like chalk on a slate. This week, it's the art of subtraction and further erasure that we study. Oh, the many blanks to ponder before the night overtakes us once more. On this lonely stretch of road, unplowed since this morning, mittens raised against the sudden blinding gusts of wind and snow. But the mailbox empty. I had to stick my bare hand all the way in to make sure this is where we live. The wonder of it. We retraced our steps homeward, lit by the same fuel of the snow glinting in the gloom of the early nightfall. Again, that was Rural Delivery by Charles Simic from Selected Poems 1963 to 1983. Copyright George Braziller, 1990. This next one is But I Too Want to Be a Poet by Fanny Howe. But I too want to be a poet, to erase from my days confusion and poverty, friction and a sharp tongue, to sing again the tones of adolescence, demanding vengeance against my enemies with words clear and austere, to end this tumultuous quest for reasonable solutions to situations, mysteries, and sore. To have the height to view myself as I view others, with lenience and love. To be free of the need to make waste of money, when my passion, first and last, is for the ecstatic lash of the poetic line and no visible recompense. That was But I Too Want to Be a Poet by Fanny Howe from Selected Poems of Fanny Howe. Copyright University of California Press Books, 2000. This next one is First Formal by Sharon. She rises up above the strapless, her dewy flesh like a soul half out of a body. It makes me remember her 1 week old, soft, elegant, startled, alone. She stands still as if she moved, her body might pour out of the bodice. She keeps her steady gaze raised when she walks. She looks exactly forward, led by some radar of the strapless, or with a cup runneth over held perfectly level. Her almost seasick beauty shimmering a little. She looks brave, her shoulders made of some extra visible element, or as if some of her cells tonight were facets like a fly's eye, and her skin was seeing us see it. She looks unhatched this moment, and yet weary, She would lie in her crib, so slight, looking worn out from her journey, and gaze at the world and at us in dubious willingness. That was First Formal by Sharon from the Wellspring. Copyright Knopf, 1996. This next poem is by Margaret Atwood. It's called I Was Reading a Scientific Article. They have photographed the brain, and here is the picture. It is full of branches, as I always suspected. Each time you arrive, the electricity of seeing you is a huge tree lumbering through my skull, the roots waving. It is an earth. Its fibers wrap things buried. Your forgotten words are graved in my head. An intricate red, blue, and pink prehensile chemistry, veined like a leaf network. Or is it a seascape with corals and shining tentacles? I touch you. I am created in you somewhere as a complex filament of light. You rest on me, and my shoulder holds your heavy, unbelievable skull, crowded with radiant suns, a new planet, the people submerged in you, a lost civilization I can never excavate. My hands trace the contours of a total universe, its different colors, flowers, its undiscovered animals, violent or serene, its other air, its claws, its paradise river. That was, I was reading a scientific article by Margaret Atwood from Selected Poems, copyright 1987. This next one is Audience by Connie Wanek. How kind people are. How few in the crowd truly hope the tightrope will break. Rare's the man who'll shoot the Pope or throw his shoe at a liar, though joining in, that's natural. An audience of St. Paul sparrows is easily bored, easily frightened. One blasphemy and off they fly. Even a polite dog will snore through reprimands, though he'll rouse to follow the refreshments with a calculating eye. But people, especially Minnesotans, pull their sleeves over their watches and want to find a way to like you. If they can sit through winter sermons, they can sit through you. That was Audience by Connie Wanek from Rival Gardens. Copyright University of Nebraska Press, 2016. Here's another one by Margaret Atwood, A Pink Hotel in California. My father chops with his axe and leaves fall off the trees. It's 1943. He's splitting wood for the winter. His gun leans behind the door, beside his goose-greased work boots. Smoke comes out the metal chimney. At night, I sleep in a bunk bed. The waves stroke the lake. In the mornings, it is so cold we can see our breath and the ice on the rocky shore. My mother rakes the ashes out from under the oven. This is comfort and safety. The sound of chopping in the empty forest. The smell of smoke. It's 1943. After it rains, we have a bonfire. The children dance around it, singing about the war, which is happening elsewhere. What has become of them? Those words that once shone with such glossy innocence. I rolled them in my mouth like marbles. They tasted pure. Smoke, gun, boots, oven, the fire, the scattered ashes, the winter forest. I sit in a pink room. The chest of drawers has antique man-board wormholes. Isn't there enough of this past without making more? It's 1943. It's 1944. I can hear the sound of chopping. It's because of the ocean. It's because of the war, which won't stay under the waves and leaves. The carpet smells of ashes. This is the pink hotel where everything recurs and nothing is elsewhere. That was a pink hotel in California by Margaret Atwood, from The Morning in the Burned House. Copyright Houghton Mifflin Company, 1995. This next one is Bell Bottoms and Platform Shoes by Maria Mazziotti Gillen. A friend sends me pictures of herself from the 70s. Bell bottoms, platform shoes, a patterned button-down shirt. Her hair puffed from a perm. I can see the outline of the person she is now, and she reminds me of myself in the 70s. Married for 8 years to a man I knew I loved the moment I saw him. 2 children who seemed to me exquisitely beautiful because they look like my husband and not me. The picture reminds me of all those evenings when I dressed in bell bottoms and silky patterned shirts and shoes with chunky heels. Those evenings, we'd invite friends over for drinks and conversations. Our children asleep upstairs. Those clothes, the perm I got because I wanted to be cool. Though my hair was already kinky, so the perm made me look like I'd stuck my finger in a light socket. I look at a picture of us from that time. Dennis and I standing together at the head of the dining room table, friends seated around us. Dennis's face is flushed, his eyes shining. I wonder if he's tipsy. He is wearing a fitted shirt with little flowers on it. I am grinning and looking up at him. I might as well be wearing a neon sign that says, "I love you." Looking back at us, I would like to tell my younger self, look how fortunate you are. The man you love beside you. Your children sleeping in their safe beds. Your friends around you. Listen. Be grateful for the moments caught in these photographs. The world is full of possibility. The sky not yet darkened. That was Bell Bottoms and Platform Shoes by Maria Mazziotti Gillen from What Blooms in Winter. Copyright NYQ Books, 2016. It's about 9:40 at the time I'm recording this, and I am sorry to say that I just spilled an entire glass of red wine on my computer. It's fine, my computer's fine. And I'm not sure if this mic will pick this up, but it's raining outside. And it kind of sounds lovely with the pitter patter. I guess I'll see you in post-production. Shall we read another poem? This next one is Before Dark by Wendell Berry. From the porch at dusk, I watched a kingfisher wild in flight. He could only have made for joy. He came down the river, splashing against the water's dimming face, like a skipped rock passing on down out of sight. And still, I could hear the splashes farther and farther away as it grew darker. He came back the same way, dusky in his shadow, sudden beyond the willows. The splashes went on out of hearing. It was dark then. Somewhere the night had accompanied him, at the place he was headed for, or where, led by his delight, he came. That was Before Dark by Wendell Berry from Collected Poems, copyright North Point Press, 1985. I think we'll stop there tonight. I hope you'll forgive me if this episode is a little shorter than usual. You see, the thing is, I have to catch a train soon. Thanksgiving is the day after tomorrow, and I haven't even packed. And if I don't get a rush on it now, chances are I won't make it. What's that? Oh, you'd like to help me pack? Well, that's very kind of you. Actually, I could use the help. You see, I have a beautiful set of suitcases in the attic I haven't used since May. They're orange, my favorite color. It's actually kind of hard to get into the attic here in my new place. If I open the drop ceiling here and tell you kind of where they are, would you mind getting them for me? All right. Let me pull down this ladder. Hold on just a second. Oh, by the way, can I get you something to drink? Well, let me see. What do we have? I have a little bit of wine left over. I spilled the rest on my laptop as I was recording this episode, but there's still plenty. Let's see what else. I have some lemon LaCroix. Do you like LaCroix? I like to keep a healthier option in the house now and then. Oh, you know what I have? I actually was going to bring it with me to Thanksgiving dinner. It's kind of a tradition in my family. Get this, eggnog and sambuca. I know. Yeah, not a lot of people I've spoken to, has ever heard of eggnog and sambuca. It's usually eggnog and whiskey, right? Something tells me we might be doing it wrong, but it's a tradition nonetheless. Do you have any Thanksgiving traditions? Well, as I mentioned earlier, I'm a vegetarian, but back in the day, a long time ago, gosh, when I was married, Thanksgiving used to be my holiday. And I swear I would spend 2 straight days in the kitchen prepping a feast. And every year, the mother-in-laws would have the honor of breaking the wishbone. Yeah, a long time ago, my mom and we used to decorate the tree on Thanksgiving with some eggnog and sambuca. Long before the Cosby controversy, I would have the Cosby Show on. It was just sort of nostalgic. The Cosby Show was an old show by then, by those standards. Gosh, I would say this was back in 2004, maybe 2005. Oh, I'm sorry. Anyway, if you climb up this ladder and if you get to the top here, the attic, look to your right and you'll see my suitcases if you don't mind. Here, let me turn my flashlight on. You can use my phone. Just oh, thank you. Here, I got it. Hold on. Thank you so much. I haven't been up there in forever. Yeah, just a bunch of what's that? Fiberglass insulation. Yeah, I probably should store my suitcases up there. I usually keep them under the bed. You know what? Actually, I think after this trip, I'll just keep my suitcases under the bed. So, yeah. Thank you. Anyway, what did you say you wanted? Oh, you'd like to try some sambuca and eggnog. Wonderful. Let me get you a glass. Hold on. Goodness, Do you hear the rain pounding the windows here? It's really pouring outside. Make yourself comfortable. You want to keep me company on the couch? Yeah, just get comfy right there. I'll be right in with your eggnog and sambuca. Why don't you turn on the TV? Oh, I don't care. I just like it on for noise. Anything you want. Here you go. Cheers. Yeah, so hold on just a second. I've got some clothes in the dryer. Let me just I'll bring them over here and fold them real quick. You know what? Why don't we put on something vintage? Maybe something like Eddie Murphy. You know what I was thinking the other day? Wasn't there a movie? I don't remember the name of it. But okay, here's the plot. He is kind of like this poor guy, and these two millionaires kind of place this bet. And I think it's like, I should just Google it. But have you heard of it? It's like, um, okay, they're gonna make him very wealthy. And one of them, I think, is like, oh yeah, this won't change him. Once a vagrant, always a vagrant sort of thing. But then the other guy is like, oh no, I think that money does make the man. And yada, yada, yada. I can't quite remember the full story or what happens. But you should put it on while I'm packing. I got some clothes to fold. You can put on Voodoo or actually, oh goodness. Oh, Tubi. Tubi is the one that plays the old. Yeah, it's right here on my Roku. It's an app. They have a lot of the older movies. You'd probably have to pay for it on Amazon. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, where am I going? That's a good question. I'm going to Smithfield, North Carolina for Thanksgiving. I'm going to visit my mom, and a couple of our friends are going to be there. And it's really quite nice, you know. Mom is going to cook the whole thing, and all I'm really doing is bringing a couple pies. I haven't been in charge of Thanksgiving in a very long time. And it's kind of nice to just be there watching the parade. Oh, I'll help her out, of course. But I kind of, you know, it's funny. I really don't like the parade. I like the idea of the parade, though I don't watch it. I kind of just have it on. It's just very commercial. I like the floats. Yeah, I don't quite appreciate the performances. So, you know, I'm sure they're good and all. I'm just not really into like pop music. Although I do like Broadway, you know, Broadway type numbers. But I really love the floats. I'm gonna tell you, I think my favorite float is Garfield. And I was Garfield for Halloween this past year. So I think I'm gonna watch for the Garfield float. And in honor of Jim Davis, I'm going to raise a glass of eggnog and sambuca. Where are you going, by the way? No. Oh, interesting. I'd never been there. That sounds lovely. Do you have any Thanksgiving traditions? Oh, wow. Now that's really interesting. Yeah. Oh, a turkey trot. You know, I'd always wanted to get into something like that. I have a few friends that do that for charity every year. You know, I never quite got the hang of running, but I guess you could walk it or power walk it. Hmm. You know, for some people, going to the movies is a Thanksgiving tradition. And although I can't think of anything I'd like to see that's out right now, I'm not really a moviegoer. Lately, I've been more, well, actually, always I've been more of a documentary goer. But in more recent times, I've been getting into YouTube videos. And I don't know. I just like to learn new things, and what better place? Content's created every day. Hey, let me ask you something. I know this is kind of out of the blue. But say you had a time machine and you can go to any time, back in time, to any time or place. What would you choose? And if you're still awake listening to this podcast, comment below, just as like a little wink to let me know that you're listening. Would it be 1940s Ohio? Would it be 1996 Sweden? Let me hear it. Oh, and I realize some of you aren't listening on YouTube. Some of you might be listening on Apple iTunes or Spotify. But if you're interested, you can also catch the show on YouTube. But anyway, so yeah. Where would I be? That's a really good question. So normally, I feel like in the past, I would have said like, oh, I would be in the 1930s, or I would be in kind of the cusp of the industrial age, or maybe even medieval times. But the older I've gotten, the more nostalgic I've become for 1994. Isn't that strange? Of all years. You see, I was in the 4th grade. And though I was too young to fully appreciate the genre, I feel like 90s grunge really took off at that time. You know, if I'm not mistaken, I think Radiohead even hit the scene with their hit song Creep. Yeah, I really love 90s grunge. I feel like all things being equal, if time is an illusion and we're all experiencing the present along with the past, then perhaps somewhere in some other time zone, in some other dimension, I'm standing in line to order a coffee from the very first Starbucks, maybe back in those early days. You know, I've never been, but I somehow see myself in Portland, Oregon. I hear Oregon is beautiful. God's country is what the people call it. Yeah, the Northeast. Well, the Pacific Northwest, I mean, is beautiful. Or so I've heard, though I've not been there. Maybe 2024 will bring an opportunity to visit. Gosh, I'll be 40 soon. And yet, I haven't had the chance. I'm going to try to make the Pacific Northwest part of my plans for 2024. I think that sounds really lovely.